unless you're a billionaire religious fundamentalist or a xenophobic nationalist, voting for Trump was a mistake. Let's react. Let's see what we've got here. I've seen clips of this conversation, of this part of the Jubilee debate. Yeah, I'm so interested. This is my cup of tea. This is my bread or butter. Let's go.
Okay, so let's tackle one aspect, religious fundamentalists. What benefit would religious fundamentalists get? And also, can you define what is a religious fundamentalist?
And maybe you could say more of like a Christian nationalist.
Okay.
In this instance. But things like, the attacks on trans folks, the attacks on a woman's right to choose, the idea that we're going to get stuff like an enhanced RFRA, which is going to mean that if you're a...
So another way to say the premise here is that not just that voting for Trump was a mistake for if you're not a billionaire religious fundamentalist or a xenophobic nationalist. Another way of flipping that is saying, like, if you voted for Trump, you are either a billionaire, a Christian nationalist, or a xenophobic nationalist or a religious fundamentalist. So just throwing that out there.
A pharmacist and you don't want to provide birth control, you may not have to.
Don't you think you're assuming?
Or you're just plain ignorant. I guess I'll throw that out.
If you believe that public education, we should take that money and pour it into religious schools, you're gonna get a benefit out of a Trump administration.
Yeah, but don't you think you're assuming that the vast majority of Americans who are moderates?
Like, what do you think you're gonna get out of the Trump administration?
Economic relief. That was.
What kind of economic relief? They're gonna cut social.
Economic relief for whom? Because I know it's not you and me. I know it's not the working class.
Security, you're going to have to pay for your parents. They're going to cut when they go after the agencies like they're going after, right? This is outlined in Project 2025. Russ Vought, who's going to be the OMB head, he was the OMB head the first.
Project 2025, for anyone watching who is not familiar, was this outlined plan for like the first 100 or 180 something around there days of Trump's second term of the presidency. Project 2025 was this long ass document. It was on the internet months before the 2024 election between Harris and Trump. They told us what they were going to do to this country, outlined under Project 2025 well in advance. And all of these things that are happening now, day 55 of the fucking new United States administration, all of that was laid out in Project 2025. And guess who was the think tank behind Project 2025? Guess who poured all of these resources into coming up with this document that will keep certain people in power in the United States and keep other people conformed, complacent, and controlled and unquestioning? That would be the Heritage Foundation, a largely Christian nationalist organization. I think they might be Catholic. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. But the Heritage Foundation is constantly trying to undermine diversity, pluralism, and the human liberty of people in this country. And so we saw this blueprint for what is going on right now in the United States. They said, they said, that was still working? Okay. They said they were going to establish male and female as biological reality as the only two genders. They said they were going to slash the Department of Education. That is happening now. We are watching this. They said they're coming for Social Security and Medicaid and all of these things. That is happening now. And again, this is day 55 of the first 100 days or 180 days. I don't remember which one, whatever, that Project 2025 laid out. So just some background. This is, and also all of that I just said, going so drastically and cutting a government like this is textbook setting up foundational work for an authoritarian regime. We have seen this in history time and time again. And Trump is a fucking idiot, but he's not surrounded exclusively by fucking idiots. There are plenty of people in the White House who know exactly what they're doing to this country. And they are trying to demonize all of these individual groups in society on the working class level so that we don't realize what is happening. This isn't some, conspiracy theory. The government is hiding things in tunnels in the Ozarks or whatever. We've seen this happen in human history time and time again. This is happening right now. And that if we don't take this seriously now, actually, take this seriously now.
First time around, he wrote all the book on this stuff.
Okay, well,
What are we saying over here? Sorry, chat. I got on a rant. Yes, there's the link, Project 2025. Absolutely. Let's see. Oh, a tracker. I haven't even seen this. Thank you for bringing that to light. Oh, how exciting. Yep, Project 2025 began on April 21st, 2022. I didn't know it was that long ago, as an initiative led by the Heritage Foundation to prepare for a potential conservative presidential administration in 2025. It was formally launched in April 2023 with the publication of its policy guide, Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. Good absolute goddess. Look at this. Oh, yeah. That we already, yeah, exactly. So every agency has these specific objectives that was outlined in Project 2025. I'm gonna have to do a deep dive into this. Thank you for sharing that. Let's go back to the video, but yeah, what was it though? Hold on, where are we at with this? 300 total, 100 done. Oh, until end of term. So it's for the full presidency. I thought for some reason it was like just the first 100 days, which, you know, they're doing a great job if they're trying to dismantle all of Western civilization in just 100 days. But apparently that wasn't the plan. Let's see what else we've got in this video.
When
you cut agencies and go after them, and you fire all the inspector generals so that they're not being able to make sure that the agencies are working, who do you think profits from that? It's corporations. They're going to go after agencies that make sure your food is not full of botulism, that your air is not full of mercury, that your water is not full of C8. This is what they're going to do. Agencies exist to curb corporations from externalizing their costs.
Again, in a capitalist society. I mean, in democratic socialism or like other versions of society too, it is the job of the government to protect the people from the exploitation of corporations, yes. But in a capitalistic society, it's even more important to do so because there are no social safety nets that the government sponsors. So it's like kind of fucked.
And privatizing their profits. So it may be cheaper for a company to dump their chemicals into a river than it is for them to dispose of it in a safe way. And so they get the profits from that, but the costs are borne by society. They're borne by society in the form of like people get cancer. They're borne by society in terms of like we've got to do the cleanup. That's what agencies do.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
That's good.
Is this the girl? No, okay, we got someone else.
Nice to meet you. Okay, so I would like to touch on the religious fundamentalist aspect.
Yeah.
Are you an atheist?
I'm a Reformed Jew. I don't have a strong belief in the existence of God, but I don't think that religion in and of itself is bad.
Okay, so what's wrong with religious fundamentalists? So like when you said trans rights and women's rights or something like that?
Well,
what's wrong with religious fundamentalists, especially here in this country, is that they want to project their religion onto other people and not just allow for people to believe what they want. Great question.
Problem I have with religious fundamentalists, and really more, I guess it's really theocrats, is that they want to impose their morality that comes from their religion on the rest of us. And I don't.
But morality, from your view, is going to be a preference, right? It's not morality; it's a preference.
I have not seen clips of this guy. I've only seen clips of, I think, the girl that comes next. Well, the one that we saw at the beginning of the video too. It would save time to say what's not wrong with fundies.
So morality without a foundation is going to reduce you to a preference.
Well, I have a foundation for my morality.
Which is what?
It's a humanist vision of what basically creates as little suffering as possible for as many people.
Okay, so you're like a consequentialist? Utilitarian?
Everyone's a consequentialist in the sense that all of our beliefs and values and morals are the consequence of something we learned, something we experienced, or something we were taught. So, yeah.
I don't really bother myself with being a consequentialist or a utilitarian.
It's always going to reduce you to a preference. So if you say that killing is wrong and I say it's right, you would really have no contention with that.
Well, no, I don't base my understanding of civil society on religion. And so we have a civil society. Okay. We have laws that we have decided as a society in a democratic way. And for some people, it's okay for it to be informed by their religion. That's okay.
Okay, perfect. So if tomorrow society comes together and we say, hey, trans folks don't deserve rights, you would be okay with that?
No, I would be against it, but I mean, it would.
But the point is, we're not. we're not coming together and saying that.
They would be morally right under your
Not
view.
morally right. No. I'm not
Okay.
talking about morals
Okay,
here.
so here's where I'm getting to, right? Religious foundations provide an ethical framework for one to live their life off
I
of.
believe you can have an ethical framework without
and
religion.
if we take the leftist view to its logical tail end, to its extreme view, you have low reproductive birth rates, you have a reproductive dead end, so two men together can't reproduce unless they have to take from a healthy straight couple.
There are 8 billion people on this planet. Are we really worried about increasing the population? Bro, I'm sick. Stop having kids so much. Calm it down. Wrap it up.
Religion provides this foundation where you do prioritize the nuclear family.
So do you have a problem with gay people being married?
It's not that I have a problem, I just don't see a justification for why they ought to be gay outside of it just feels good.
Did that not kind of sound like he said he thinks it would feel good?
Can you give me another justification for it?
Well, I think maybe that's the way they were born.
Okay, what about pedophiles? Are they born that way?
They may be, yeah.
Okay, so should we let a pedophile off the hook since they were born that way?
No, I think we as a society has
Should
decided.
implement duties to prevent them from acting on that innate urge, correct?
Well, I think between consenting adults, it's a different thing than.
Okay,
than
so you're okay
preying
with
on
a
children.
45-year-old dad with a 19-year-old daughter as well? Incest.
No.
If they consent, you're okay with that?
No, I think society has also determined that it's not beneficial.
Right, there's
for-
duties and obligations that we have, so religion provides those duties. Life isn't about
Well, but
freedom
also
and
I can-
exercising what you want.
I mean, well, you want to impose your religious doctrine
No,
on me,
because
and
you
I
just
don't want
admitted-
that.
you just
Why
admitted
is
we
this
need to-
frozen? Are you guys still watching me? Chat, am I cooked? Oh no, is it just... Hold on. Oh, it's good? Okay. Okay. I don't know why my screen was frozen for a second. Okay, let's see.
Duties. We have responsibility as a society to keep us functioning, to keep us thriving. Your leftist view, the liberal view, doesn't provide anything besides it just makes me feel good. Religion does. So what's your argument?
What's my argument as to why I don't want
You have no
your
contention.
religion to? Well, because first of all, I don't think that you have the right to corner what God.
First of all, ew, with a lot of that conversation. Second of all, religious fundamentalists don't agree. Okay, so if the argument is that we need religious fundamentalism for an absolute morality around which to structure society, religious fundamentalists don't agree on an absolute morality either. That's why there are denominations. That's why these old ass biblical scriptures continue to get reinterpreted over and over again, or justified in the sense of, here's a good one. Oh, that was the morality of the Old Testament, not the morality of the New Testament. Showcasing directly that even religious fundamentalists align with the idea that morality is relative and that we grow as a society and that we have evolution and progress and that we continue to confirm a better and better morality, which, yes, in very, very, very simplified and not complete terms, is the minimization of suffering for as many people as possible. And not even just because it actually can be reduced to that feels good, because there's scientific research about this, and we all kind of know deep down that when the most people are doing well around us, we feel better too. And frankly, if you need an old-ass 2,000-year-old book to tell you that you need to do certain things or behave a certain way to be good because you don't feel good having morals yourself, maybe the problem isn't people who really disagree with that insanity.
God is telling us is right or wrong. And there are differences between religions. And so my argument is, like, you're not going to keep halal or kosher, right? I mean, I don't believe that someone has a corner on religious truth. And the reason why we have a democracy is because we didn't want a king. And the kings came from the idea that their God said that they're the ones who's supposed to be king. And so we can disagree on this. I don't want to live in a country that is ruled by religious fundamentalism.
And if I do, you have no issue with that.
And no. And this is why I say, under Trump, yes, you have won.
Yes.
You have a
Only
bunch
male
of
and
Christian.
female. You're right.
You have a Christian
One.
nationalist,
Yes, which is
and
necessary.
so I can see the
Bro.
point that under Trump, your Christian nationalism has gained an advantage
Yes.
under this.
Sorry, we're going to
And
have more
I'm-
kids. We're going to have less abortions. We're going to have more family. We're going to have stable family households. Sorry about better
Trans-
education.
And where are they going to live? Again, 8 billion people on this planet, bro. Is religion the only foundation for morality? Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we'll get into that. Bro. Honestly, I have sympathy for people who think like this. I have pity, especially for men who are so adamantly against being gay. It's kind of the pot calling the kettle black, if you ask me.
Gay people should be outlawed.
should be straight. They should be
Women should be secondary to their husbands.
Women should submit
right?
to the husbands.
Women
That doesn't
should
mean they.
submit-
That
to the
doesn't mean they are
husbands.
slaves.
Right,
It doesn't
no,
mean they are
I
slaves. It means they are
understand. I
protected.
understand. You
Okay,
got
let me ask you this. Let me ask you.
No.
Should women be
Protected from what? Could you happen to be meaning that when women submit to their husbands, they're protected from men?
drafted? Should women be drafted?
Listen, I think
If they're equal, should they be drafted?
I think this is the vision that you have, and I think Trump supports it.
Yes.
I think the Christian nationalists he has throughout his government are all going to work towards your vision.
Yes.
And my hope is that when people look at this, they say, hey, wait a second. I don't want my life to be dictated by the notion of a Christian nationalist prescription. Now, you may win out. I mean, certainly, like if you look at a country like Iran, they have a theocracy there, and that.
Christians will suffer under Christian nationalism just like the rest of us. They just won't suffer first. So I want to make that very clear. Authoritarian regimes pit peoples against each other and along some kind of line, whether racial or in this case now, well, it is racial, but religion is often used in authoritarian regimes to consolidate power and control. And so we have these specific groups, non-Christians, who are going to continue to lose their rights and freedoms and all of these things, and their representation, most importantly, the fact that there aren't atheists in the White House or open Muslims or whatever. The fact that that Christian nationalism is consolidating power in the White House means that everyone who isn't a Christian is going to suffer first, but eventually, and this is not me coming out of left field here. We've seen this time and time again in human history. Eventually, the people who thought that they would have more power over the other people, they will suffer too. So I don't know when that will happen, but Sam's making a great point here because eventually it's going to take itself down, honestly.
And apparently that's good for them if they want it.
My final point is whenever
but
we
I don't want to live in a
My final point is
theocracy.
whenever we see people live out Christian values to its full extent, we see
Bullshit.
a great society. When we see people
Bullshit.
deviate from that, that's where all the problems
Bullshit.
arise.
All right.
I think you are at home in the Trump.
Thank you very much.
You've been voted out.
I think you are at home on the Trump side of things. Yeah, I want to give it a second, give that part of this a second here, just because this is why I'm talking about Christian nationalism so much online, and this is why I am openly calling myself an atheist leftist, essentially in response to Christian nationalism. I think that it's going to be up to people to speak out against Christianity specifically. Like there's so many things to speak out about against the new United States administration, but I still maintain that I think Christian nationalism is kind of the power complex that is the glue of all of these other issues, like late stage capitalism being the prosperity gospel and the authoritarianism being like the control of the church congregation and all of these things. So yeah, I'm actually really glad that Sam Seder brought this up as one of his points on this debate because this is the real issue that I think I will certainly be fighting. Let me let my dog in. He's so needy. Hi, baby. Hi, sweetie pie. Come back every time. Come here. You want to say hi? Come here. Okay, no, he's busy. Okay, let's see this next. Oh, you want to come back? You want to come say hi? Come on. Hi, sweetie. Hi. And that's it. Okay, let's watch the rest of this.
Please return to your seat.
I bet it's her. Oh, I thought it was gonna be the girl.
Sorry, guys. I think I have an issue with the implications of the prompt. I mean, of course, I'll stick on the religious fundamentalism. I think it's unfair to view Christianity separated from the ideology that Christianity informs, right? You have an ideology that you've...
Which one? Again, Christianity has so many denominations and interpretations and truth, capital T, truth claims that this one's right and this one's wrong. So, which one?
vote upon because you view it to be the truth that benefits everyone in a society. That's how a democracy works. I, as a Christian, have an ideology that informs my opinions, and I believe that it is the most moral and correct way for a society to function. So I think if we put religious fundamentalism in a box where you say any moral implications that I draw from this, religion is unable to be voted upon, unable to be pushed onto you.
That's not what fighting against religious fundamentalism is. He's saying that fighting against religious fundamentalism is fighting against the moral standpoints of someone who's religious, when in reality, fighting against religious fundamentalism is fighting against the monopoly of morality that certain religious groups or denominations are trying to consolidate. So that's a distinction that I think is super important.
Because simply it's a religion is unfair to view it that way. Religion is an ideology like all ideology.
I hope someone asked this dummy what he thinks of Exodus 21, 20, 21. So moral. Yeah, there's so much more immorality in the Bible that I can't even, come on.
Ideologies are. It's you vote away.
I don't mind you. I don't dispute the idea that you could have a religious ideology and want to see it imposed upon others, and it's not inconsistent with my claim. My claim is that Donald Trump is ushering in an element of Christian theocracy that I can't remember his name, and you may be excited about, but I'm not excited about it. I don't think the vast majority of Americans are, but maybe I'm wrong.
Right.
I mean, I don't think this country was set up to be a theocracy. And I find it problematic that it will be, but others will be happy about it.
I think it's unfair as well to label any morals that comes from religion inherently immediately theocratic. Like having a...
That's not what fighting against religious fundamentalism means. It's not an attack on the morals of Christians. It's an attack on the monopoly on morality that fundamentalism specifically is trying to enact in this country.
Theocracy is something different than having...
I think love thy neighbor is a good precept, and I don't know that we should necessarily legislate it, but I think it's a good precept. Cool. I think there are things from religion that are good. Yeah. I interviewed Desmond Tutu years ago, who said that religion can be, is like a knife. It can be used to spread butter, or it can be used to stab people. Sure. But that doesn't mean that I want religious doctrine to be the same as the law of the land. We have a democracy, and it was founded on trying to get out from some type of religious oppression, which means one religion shouldn't dominate in this country. That's my sense.
Yeah, and I see that, but I think I have an issue with where you would perceive religious doctrine is derived from, right? A guy doesn't, at least in Christianity, a guy doesn't go in a room and come out and say that he has a secret message from God that everyone now has to follow. Religious doctrine is ruled over, it's reasoned over.
That's actually exact. Okay, I see where he's saying religious doctrine. Okay, thank you for making the point, sir. First of all, men going into secret rooms to interpret the divine law of the Bible has historically happened over and over and over again. But the point he's making is that then that guy dies or something, and then the interpretation of the codified Bible is discussed and it's reasoned about. And so I see what he's saying, but guess what? Hey, thanks for proving the point that morality is relative and a consensus of the community around which that morality is going to be upheld. That is how society needs to function. Thank you for making that point. The point of fighting against religious fundamentalism isn't to take away any point of anyone's morality or to change morality at all. It's to fight against the monopoly of morality that they're trying to enact. How many times can I say this? That morals can only come from a sky boss? Yeah. Great point.
over the same way any ideology is discovered.
I'm not talking about
Exactly.
the validity of religious doctrine.
Right.
I'm talking about religious doctrine
Dominating the
supplanting,
country.
Democracy and civil society.
And I'm saying that religious doctrine is democratic inherently, and in the way that you.
Well, I mean, look, we can have a debate as to whether or
Christians-
not women should be subservient to
Exactly.
men.
Right.
I don't think they should be,
Right.
and in a democracy, I don't think it's healthy.
Right, but when you said earlier with him that someone shouldn't have I don't know the exact word, like a chokehold on what is, religious truth and what isn't religious truth, that's not how religious truth itself works, and that's not how religious truth is brought to the political table to have that work either, right?
I don't know. When Pete Hegseth is in a bar yelling, we're going to kill all Muslims.
Well, that's, yeah.
But now he's in charge of the largest military in the history of the
Sure.
world. And I think, and he is informed by his Christian nationalism. I think that's a problem.
Right. Well, but
we
we
can
don't-
disagree on
Yeah,
that.
we
All
don't
right,
take-
pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Thanks,
Please
Sam.
return to your seat.
I think this is her. Wait.
Okay, so Eleazar mentioned his views on gay marriage, and I saw that you believe that essentially conservatives don't believe that gay marriage should be allowed. I want to ask everybody in this room, is there any law or legislation that Donald Trump has passed to prohibit same-sex marriage in the last 4 years? Okay.
Isn't
Is there
it in
anyone in here
Project
who would
2025?
potentially oppose two people kissing in public that are of the same sex? You
So
could raise your
many
hand
of
if you
them?
want.
Ew, you
Yes,
guys,
in
that's so
public.
embarrassing
Kissing in
for
public.
you.
No law against it. Just your own opinion. Okay.
Oh.
So these are all people's opinions, right? The
I want to
same
know
way we
how
have our
many of
opinions
them
about
have,
Christians is the same way these
searched
people
certain
are
things
allowed.
I don't
on
have a problem
certain
with
sites.
Christians.
Well, you do not believe that theology should be at its as a.
We should not have a theocracy.
Correct. And so what I'm saying is, I think that Christianity. I'm a Catholic. I think that Christianity is, fundamentally very important to instill family values in myself as well as every person who wants to have children. Now let's talk about.
I'm okay with that too.
Let's talk about Order 14,166. That is an executive order that Donald Trump just imposed on identifying what is male and female. So I personally believe, as well as many transsexuals, friends of mine, believe that a
Transgender.
woman is a biological female,
Transgender.
as well as a man being a biological male. You are assigned what you are at birth. You are not assigned your gender later on. What you choose to express is something that
gross.
is similar to wearing a garment, similar to what you decide to put on your face. And I don't think there should be laws or legislations dictating people or imposing laws to manipulate children, for example, to castrate their bodies at such a young age. 50% of
Do
children.
you know how many children are treated over the past 5 years? Let's say, I think it was from 2018 to 22, there was a study that just came out from Harvard. Do you know how many children received gender-affirming care, but broken down into puberty blockers and then hormones?
Give me the numbers.
You tell me. I'm curious.
Well, I'm curious because you're bringing it up.
No, I have the numbers.
Okay, tell me.
I do, but
Tell
I'm
me.
curious if you know.
Tell me what the numbers
I
are.
promise to tell you after you tell me what you
No,
think it
I'm not
is.
gonna play that game.
Because I have a feeling
not
you
playing this
think it's-
game.
No, I am playing this game because
Why?
I think you think it's much higher. When you tell me that kids are being castrated, I know you don't really know what these numbers are. And
almost-
I do know these numbers.
Okay, well, I can tell you this much.
What?
It was reported that scientifically, every single child who has received gender-affirming care, about roughly 50% of them regret it. And 50% of them are suicidal because of it. They're actually more depressed because of it.
How many of those kids? How many?
psychologist,
How
by the
many
way-
over the course of 5 years?
Well, tell me.
You tell me. Just give
I
me
know
a
what you're trying to do.
ballpark.
You're trying to put me in this chokehold of like,
No, I'm
I
not trying to
gotcha
put you in a
moment.
check. No, this is definitely a gotcha
No.
moment because I'm suggesting to you that you think this problem is much bigger than
It
it
is a huge problem.
Okay.
Medi-Cal, Medi-Cal covers inmate trans women.
I understand that, yes. And I know
medical coverage.
one person has had that surgery.
I don't understand how my taxes should go for an inmate prisoner
if
who
you
wants
have
to transition.
Well, I think because we got to do health care for
No,
prisoners,
Gavin
and you
Newsom-
don't consider it
Gavin
real
Newsom-
health care.
Gavin
hold on, I
Newsom
don't
has
wanna get,
imposed
listen,
$2.6
it's
billion in
900 kids
2022.
over 5 years.
That is a lot of
receive
children.
Puberty blockers.
That is a lot of children.
900
AB
kids over 5 years.
547 just
Do you know how
passed,
many-
including
do you know how
gender
many kids died
identity,
during
gender
COVID?
identity
All right.
to allow children
10
to be
kids a
separated from
month
their
die
parents
from
just due to not
accidental
affirming their
gun-
gender
gun deaths.
identity.
I don't
But
know
here's
how
the
true
point.
that
Listen,
is.
Trump
The
is,
separation
how is he
from the
hurting these
parents.
people? He just rescinded the ability of the Labor Bureau
what did that
to
fact say?
investigate
Hold on.
discrimination in workplace. Died during COVID?
Gender identity
All right.
to allow children
10
to be
kids a
separated from
month
their
died
parents
I don't know
just
about the
due
whole
to not
separating.
affirming their gender
gun deaths.
identity.
But here's the point. Listen, Trump is
I don't know about the whole separating from the family. Okay, data compiled by Reuters and Health Technology Company, Kamara found that from 2017, 4,780 adolescents started puberty blockers and had a gender dysphoria diagnosis. A new study from JAMA Pediatrics found that only 0.1% of young patients in the study were transgender and prescribed puberty blockers or hormone therapy. Wait, isn't that conflicting? Okay. Huh. Oh, I guess based on the bias and the misguided research or whatever. Okay. Trump has stacked the Supreme Court to steamroll over abortion. This panelist, I read that. This is just like arguing with Christians and they haven't read the Bible.
How is he hurting these people? He just rescinded the ability of the Labor Bureau to investigate discrimination in workplace. Are you for trans people being discriminated in workplace?
They're never being discriminated.
Are you for trans people being discriminated with housing?
I'm very passionate about that question, and can I answer it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I believe that affirmative action should be...
It's not affirmative action.
Oh, then what is it?
It's anti-discrimination. That's not saying that you have to hire trans people. It's saying you can't fire someone when you find out they're trans.
Okay, well, hold on a minute. So when you hire someone, or when you interview someone, for example, you are supposed to interview them based on their knowledge and their work ethic, not based on sex.
I'm not saying affirmative
based
action.
On their sexual
Are you
orientation.
allowed to fire them if you find out they're trans?
If you need to, then you should. If you need to, then you should.
So we have a disagreement. I don't believe people should be discriminated against.
Pause.
And that's not discrimination. It's based on your knowledge, not what you sleep with, not who you sleep with. Just saying.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Sam.
So I actually think that this liberal world order needs to be thrown away completely, and I think Christian nationalism would be a good alternative. What we're seeing right now is
And
just
congratulations.
Yeah, no shit.
Thank you. And yeah, I think what we're seeing right now is a culture of death. This is the most suicidal generation ever. We have millions of children dying by abortion. People aren't even reproducing. We don't even have like a
room for people to reproduce. Yeah, good point.
Should we mandate people reproduce?
No, I don't think we need to mandate. We can just stop them from killing their kids.
You want to outlaw abortion?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, we have a fundamental disagreement on this, and my claim was that if you voted for Trump, it would be to your benefit if you want to outlaw abortion.
I think it would benefit everyone.
Yeah, I disagree. I think that women should have the right to choose.
I think that it would benefit everyone to bring back the family unit, to stop having women just thrown into the workforce.
Maybe we shouldn't allow women to choose to divorce unless their husbands say it's okay.
I mean, I don't really believe in divorce in general, so sure.
All right. I mean, this I think though reinforces my.
Not really. It just breaks my heart. It's really what it does, because having that mentality, and this is like just a wide generalization, but having that mentality as a woman can lead so easily to you becoming involved with an abusive man who takes advantage of your unwillingness to leave him because you don't believe in divorce. So that really kind of does break my heart.
Point that if you are,
but it would be better for society. It would be better for everybody in society.
Happy.
And same with xenophobic national. Like, what's the problem with xenophobic nationalism? Don't you think that's better for Americans in general?
To be xenophobic.
One girl's like, "Girl, no, that's too much. That's too much." Also, okay, let me point this out. The word xenophobic, the second half of that word is phobic. The second half of that word means based on fear. So advocating to be xenophobic means you're advocating that you want to live in fear of people who, it's fear of people who aren't like you, who don't look like you, who don't believe like you, whatever. But you're advocating for people to live in fear. That's what xenophobia is. That's what homophobia perpetuates. It is a fear of otherness instead of embracing the plurality and the diversity of this country and of our species and of who we are on this planet. And instead of embracing that, we are taught by these institutions that are fucking brainwashing everyone on the right to think that anyone who doesn't look exactly like them is something to be afraid of. When in reality, when we all band together, that's when time and time again in history, like the best societies were thriving. Like it's bullshit. I don't like the planet Earth anymore either. I personally think if we bring about climate change to such a degree that we lose our species, we deserve it.
Nationalism is better.
We should have a coherent culture. Everyone should be a part of the same culture. We should have assimilation.
Ew, literally, why would anyone want that? Also, you're a white woman and probably from the South or Midwest. You literally want to eat chicken and mashed potatoes for the rest of your life? You never want to eat sushi again? You never want to eat other kinds of food? Like, that's so gross. That's so basic and bland. I don't want that at all.
Which, do you get to choose what the culture is?
We already have a dominant culture
What is the
based on
dominant
European
culture?
and Christian values and identity. That is a dominant culture.
White
It's
Christian-
rooted in European identity.
So your argument is that
That has been the dominant
it's-
culture.
Just to be
and
clear,
we're not letting people assimilate to that. We're saying you should keep your culture, and this is why our culture is so divided.
your argument is that Trump is good for those who want a dominant white Europe.
You can go back to Europe, honey. You can go back to Europe. If you don't want assimilation, you can go back to Europe.
European culture.
I mean, that is what America is. It's rooted in European identity and Christian values. That's what it has been. Would you really disagree with that? What is it then if that's not the identity of America?
Well, I think the identity of
For the
America...
majority of time, America's been a country. You don't think that's been the identity?
Well, actually, no. I think actually the identity of America has been, for better or for worse, a melting pot in that regard.
Yeah, maybe since like the 1960s. Even then, even we had this idea of a melting pot literally means assimilation too. It means melting. It means you're assimilating to the dominant culture. Is that not what melting means?
No, it doesn't
and now
mean
instead we're saying there's something wrong with
the dominant
xenophobia.
Culture. No. I mean, look, I got to be honest with you. You and I have a fundamental disagreement. We will never see eye to eye on this. It's a choice. And I think what you're expressing, though, is really what the Trump movement at its heart is about. And I think that's problematic.
I disagree. I don't think Trump's anywhere close to being a Christian nationalist. That's ridiculous. Trump.
I would agree in the sense that I don't think he actually cares about Christianity at all, but I would disagree in the sense that Trump is actively using Christian nationalism to consolidate power. So that's a bit of a nuance, but an important one.
Trump's basically a Democrat from 15 years ago when it comes to social
So you don't
issues.
think that he's conservative enough for you?
Oh, definitely. Nowhere close. No.
He's not xenophobic enough for you?
No, he's trying to pour a bunch of H-1Bs. Are you kidding?
Right. Oh, so you want to get them out too? Yeah. No, I think you're making my argument for me.
All right.
Well,
okay.
I'm just saying his argument. Okay.
I knew that I was going to watch this and have a visceral reaction, and I did not disappoint my prediction. You know what's really jarring for me is knowing that if I never questioned how I was raised, if I never looked around and thought to myself, you know what, this isn't working. This doesn't work for me personally, and I don't think the people around me are as happy in evangelical white Christianity as much as we're pretending or have to justify like we are. Something's off. I can't really be myself here. If I hadn't challenged my beliefs and gone down the path of deconstruction from that religious faith, I would have become her. I would have had those same exact statements circulating in my head. I would have had to continue the cognitive dissonance of feeling like a person of my own, of having personal autonomy and my innate human dignity. I would have had to constantly justify why it was okay to subjugate myself for men. And that took so much energy just to do the mental gymnastics of explaining to myself why the Bible said the things it said and why it was okay for me to submit to my husband, etc. I would have ended up just like this girl. And so I get so upset and angry when I hear this rhetoric, and it's absolutely what I'm fighting. Christian nationalism is absolutely what I'm fighting. But man, sometimes we got to remember how tragic it is to be stuck in those thought patterns too. To be stuck in that world that leaves no room for growth and personal empowerment. Curiosity was the key for me too, to keep asking questions about why do I have to submit to my husband? Why does the Bible talk about women like this and all of that? And I really hope that the trend of more Gen Z and more women leaving the Christian faith continues, because it's keeping them locked in these patterns of belief that are just so damaging, and they think it's only damaging, or they might not think it's damaging to the people around them, but it is. Xenophobia is damaging to people you're afraid of, but it's also damaging to yourself, because again, the word phobic means you're afraid of something. And if you really have to live in fear of people who don't look like you, if you really have to live in fear of an eternity in hell, or, God smiting you if you're not believing right or righteous enough, then honestly, I don't hate you. I pity you. And that's really the gist of why I am literally online talking about this stuff. So I do want to thank everyone who's participated in this conversation. I do think that it is something that's only going to kind of get worse in the next few years. I think we have a lot of work to put our efforts into in order to kind of protect the future of this country and the countries we're kind of responsible for as a goddamn, imperialist regime. So yeah, that's that.